Hello, and
It's
welcome.
our official censorship policy.
That's right.
Yep.
I am your host. I am for I am, also known as the emperor of the DinDAO or Din.social. And today we want to welcome everyone here to the World Blockchain Roundtable, where we discuss blockchains, problems, and solutions with blockchains. And our esteemed panel of experts. We have, let's see, next to me is Zach Kaiser from the Legacy Right. He's got his cigar in his mouth. And we have Greg from Rivet. Welcome, Greg. We have Andrew Joseph also here from the Legacy Right. And gracing with our presence and keeping us in order here, we have the mighty Lisa Davis. Thank you so much, Lisa. Lisa, we've missed you.
Thanks. Yeah, I miss you guys too.
And hopefully Satoshi Sean will be joining us. Then we'll have the 6-pack going on here, 3 and 3. Joe isn't going to be able to join us today, so I am your hostess with the mostest, who's about ready to fall asleep. But this topic, I'm sure, will keep me awake. Today is episode 203. Can you believe that, folks? 203.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah. We got to do something big for the 4-year anniversary, right? Something big.
Oh, yeah.
So today's topic is, what if blockchain became a religion or a cult? That's going to be interesting. But before we go into that, let's talk about last week's show. Last week's show was Blockchain Meets Main Street with Tokenized Assets. And each host will receive 75 lot. And each topic contributor from last week will also receive 75 lot. And last week's theme was nominated by me. I am for I am. I'm dominating. I get another 75 lot. So, what can I say? It's called greed. I'm greedy for those lot tokens. Those lot tokens. And of course, those tokens come with perpetual passive income. And yes, you too, anyone out there can propose a question. It gets voted on. If it gets on the show, you receive those lot tokens. And that's how it works. You also get free edits and governance votes. Governance votes means that you, as a lot holder in the World Blockchain Roundtable show on Din.social, that means you have a vote. You can vote for maybe taking one of the panelists off the show, or putting a different panelist on the show, or what the theme is going to be for a future show, these kinds of things. So it becomes powerful to have that voting capability. But before we go into today's show, we're going to talk about something that's on the table for voting. And let's bring that up here. May theme suggestions. Who's this guy? Anyone know?
That's me.
That's you.
That's the real me.
In the future, huh? That's the future you. No, this guy, I think he tries to fix bars that are going under, saloons, bars, clubs.
Okay, bar rescue.
Yeah, bar rescue. Right. That's the guy. So, can I make a suggestion? So what we need to come up with some themes for the month of May, and those of the top 5 voted on topics we'll discuss for next month. So there you go. Come here to Din.social, go to the World Blockchain Roundtable layer, which is like a category, and post your theme ideas. I don't see any yet, so.
And anyone can participate in this. If you don't have a DIN account yet, all you need is an email. Make up a new email that's specifically for this. You can be however you want to be identified. You can participate in this. So.
Yep, and you can even post anonymously in most layers, including this one.
Yes. Yes.
I can identify that
if you post anonymously. Go ahead, Andrew.
I'll make a suggestion after Andrew.
I can identify as an attack helicopter. Okay.
Sure.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you create an email for that as well.
I have a suggestion for May.
Go ahead, Zach.
May is my birthday month. So how about this? How about if we just have an episode where everybody just gives me all their crypto?
We could give our lot to you.
I'll give you all my shitcoin Bitcoin to you. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I said it. Oh, I broke a command.
I have some NFTs you can have.
I'll give you my den of coin.
I only want shit coins.
Yeah. And like Lisa said, thank you, Lisa, for that. All you need is an email to join din.social and post what your theme for them you think a panel of experts should talk about in respect to blockchain. So this week's show is What If Blockchain Became a Religion or Cult? Episode 203. And before we get into the questions, is there anyone that would like to talk about their cult experience or religion experience that maybe how they escaped a cult, how they're joining a cult, recommending a cult for us to join? I
have a recommendation.
Sure.
We could all. I'm the high priest at the cult of Kefka, so if you want to join my my cult there for Kefka, you're good. Just make sure you have plenty of magic.
Is it Captcha?
Kefka from Final Fantasy VI.
Nice. All right. What do we have to do for our
dork.
Initiation to join?
Well, you got to battle to the very top of the tower and fight with magic. So that's all you can use is magic.
I think I'm SOL. I'm not very magical.
Okay. It's all right.
I was going to say, I thought crypto already was a cult. I've had death threats from maxis. I guess you could say like there's certain groups that are cult-like, or that tend to be cult-like. Even there's groups that call themselves armies.
I'm literally part of a DAO called Cult DAO.
Yeah, I was going to say there's Cult DAO. Yeah. That was a really cool. I don't know how is it still a pretty strong community. Greg?
It's technically still sitting there, just waiting for people to take up and use. Most of the original activity around it has buzzed off, but the original core people are still building for it.
Cool. So, I liked it. It was really cool. Yeah. It was a great idea. I remember the black and white image of like a philosopher with the red teardrop. That's Cult DAO, right?
I think things started to get contentious when they funded the vandalism of statues.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
People started questioning whether or not they ought to be involved with such activity. And then the DAO got kind of wimpy. Like,
oh no.
They stopped having ambitions to really make trouble. But
wow. So the Cult DAO is now the Soy Boy DAO.
Man. It kind of. I wouldn't say that. Not entirely.
Oh, okay. Wow, I'm just mean today. I'm sorry, people.
That's lack of sleep.
Yeah,
yes, it's lack of sleep.
It matters.
Oh, stop it. Every time someone says matters on the show, I got to drink coffee to stay awake. So matters, by the way, matters is the token. Hold on. Is a din.social token. And that's why
matters.
Yeah, that's why I have to.
If you go kill Zach, I'll do it.
So probably I'll have so much coffee and caffeine in my bloodstream here in the next 20-30 minutes. I'm going to be jumping up and down. All right. Shall we go into the questions? Can I get a vote? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. Wow. Participation. I love it. By the way, this topic happened to be nominated just by happenstance by the Emperor. I'm telling you, I'm dominating this token thing. I'm pretty competitive. So there you go. So here you go with our first question. From Legacy Zach, double dipping. He's taken it from the playbook, from my playbook. All right. Let's take a deep dive into the old Civil War days and explore the division splits amongst crypto enthusiasts, anarchists, hedge fund feds, and maxis. I want to hear your thoughts on how we distinguish these groups and if it could already consider blockchain communities cults or religions. All right, Lisa, I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but let's go ahead and start with you and work our way up. Are blockchain communities cults and religions already?
I'd have to look up the actual definition of maybe that's where we should start. I don't know. Or maybe one of you guys has a better idea, like what is our idea of the definition of religion or cult. And I would think that has more to do with a mindset, a group mindset that the group is following along with. So you're giving up the individual's rights or ideas to submit to the group mindset. That's kind of what I think of when I think of cult or religion, and following within those rules or guidelines. And I would say that there are some groups that, if you don't toe the line, if you have other coins outside of their coin that you follow, or you think outside of, if you hold anything other than the whatever, or you think outside the lines, there's definitely certain groups that you can't have outside things.
Oh yeah, definitely. How about you, Zach? I'm sorry, Andrew. Can anyone pull up the definition of a cult or religion or cult? And
I can give a pretty good one off the top of offhand.
Go for it. Go for it.
So a cult is a thing formed around a metaphysical ideal. Like the leader of this cult will first establish in their head this unattainable future state that they can nonetheless claim to have some prophetic vision into the attainment of. Whether that's through UFOs coming to pull you off the planet and take you to paradise, or whatever else, right? Like that's the core of it. And then this person goes out and recruits. They'll probably have a friend group of true believers that helped invent the mythology, or had a co-prophecy together. Those folks will go out and they'll look for people who need belonging, right? More than anything. And they'll go out and they'll hunt. They'll headhunt for people who aren't looking like they fit in with regular society. They'll approach people who look approachable. I mean, looking approachable is already a sign that you're looking for belonging, right? And they'll recruit as many of these people as they can around this ideal and around this prophecy coming true. And it will begin to demand things of them, sacrifices that they're going to be expected to undertake. And that's how you get sort of like that cult, the uniformity of cult mindset.
Wow. So it's kind of a thin line between a cult and a community. Interesting. All right, Andrew, how would you answer Zach's question here?
Well, I do a whole mic drop here and just say bitcointalk.org, but that's a little too easy. No, back then, I mean, when it first launched, right? I mean, it was people who were real hardcore, but then into the bankers and the CIA and everything started infiltrating it, and it eventually just evolved into crypto Twitter. So, people that just who are early to the party and know that the game is up already, who don't have full control, but they're working on it. They've got their resources and they're giving passionate speeches.
That's right.
So
that's right. How would you answer this one, Greg?
The one that we're missing here is the cult of builders, right? Because that is kind of a cult in a way, but the difference is they're constructing something. Like they're promising a future state that seems ideal and that probably won't be attainable, but they're also building it at the same time. And that's the interesting thing about that part of the cult is they're very quiet. You don't hear from them anywhere near as much. If you want to find out what they're doing, you have to tune into their X account for build releases, because that's the only thing that's happening.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's not to say the whole cult is covered. Like, it's not in one uniform group. The cult of crypto has builder cult. It has the maxi cult, which is my favorite to rip on, because I don't think they're any different from feds. I think maxis are feds and feds are maxis. It would only make sense. Like, it would be the group you would send in to disrupt the entire ball game, to make it seem greedy and absurd.
Right.
They're the ones who were saying when Lambo the loudest.
So they're Patriot Front.
Well, I don't know much about the Patriot Front, but
they're just feds.
They're just feds. Okay.
They're just feds.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. It's the Patriot Front in crypto. You can probably also say the same for the number go up people who complain anytime anybody does anything counter society.
Good one. All right, Zach, answer your own question, sir. Please.
I'm gonna add, like I said, crypto enthusiasts. I would probably combine builders with the enthusiasts, because you have to have some sort of enthusiasm and excitement to try to create something. So they're enmeshed into this whole ordeal. And there's a ritual aspect to it as well. So I would agree with Greg on the matter of saying that the builders are more of a cult than anything, with the ritualistic expertise that they add to the whole volume of blockchain technology. As far as blockchain in general, I don't know if I can answer it. I know that there's multiple communities that have formed over the years, online and off. It's kind of hard to answer the question. I don't know. I don't necessarily know exactly how I would answer my own question. But community is the go all.
Good. And we have Satoshi Sean coming in.
All right, guys. See you later.
6th place. So Satoshi, Sean, we want to welcome you and let you know that we are talking about cults and what if blockchain was a cult, or is it a cult? And so before I answer this, Zach had the first question, and this question, he just wants to know if you could already consider blockchain communities cults or religions. So what do you say, Sean?
I say that next time, pin the right link in the room, so I'm not sitting in last week's show waiting. Like, why am I late but early?
Oh, no.
I did it too. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh no! Well,
at least you were early.
You should have it on your calendar from.
Yeah, I'm early for last week.
Man.
I was early last week. I actually changed my channel.
I predicted it,
fashionably
man.
late.
I said it was Google's fault.
It's always
It's a
Google's
very
fault.
interesting question, because especially for us that have been around for a long time. I say if you look at it objectively, you'd have to say that yes, it's a cult. It has all the characteristics. But I mean, you could say that about Trumpers, or because if you ignore the obvious bad shit, it's like, why does the cult leader take the women and no one else can have sex with them, but they get pregnant? It's weird. It's that kind of mentality we have, where you ignore the flaws, and it doesn't matter if something better comes out. You're very single-minded, and it does people do tend to use the word enthusiast there, but they tend to get very obsessive. And we can point it out when it comes to like Bitcoin, Bitcoiners, or maximalists, but it's in all places, from XRP to Litecoin to everywhere. It's just, you can look at it from like a fandom almost to when it crosses that line from being a fan of something to being a fanatic. You know,
right,
it's
to where
just a couple
you're
letters you
driven
add to
mostly
it.
by fear of losing your community, so you get reflexively defensive of it.
Right.
Yeah, then you're delving more into the psychology of it. But definitely, I think there's definitely aspects of it that are cult like, because it's not just about technology. It's, I mean, there's money involved, and then you throw in community and acceptance and all that. It does get a little murky, a little weird.
Sure.
Well, and cults do have a money element to them, right? Like
Yeah.
most of the reason they seek to grow their membership is to seek the amount of resources that they can control for the group.
Right.
Caress.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
All
That's an
right, so I
exact
guess
example.
I'm going to round up the final answer, which will be the accurate, most correct answer. No, I can't say that. No, I would say that we all live in a matrix. This is a simulation, and so cults are chapters within that simulation. And blockchain cults are a cult within that cult within the matrix. So if you kind of if you want to dive deep into it, that's kind of how I would answer the
So
question.
you call it a mystery sect then?
Honestly,
I mean,
religions and cults are almost one and the same. That's going
two
to
sides
offend
of the same
somebody.
coin.
And
But one of them
the
is socially
Bitcoin
accepted, the other's not.
maxis became really very tribal, and that the big fork wars in 2017, I think, is where things became a little bit more personal, and became more cultish within the space. And there's only one coin, and it's my coin, and all the other coins are shit coins. That kind of talk, and that became like the cult of the religion. My religion's the only way to the top for exaltation, for the afterlife. And so my blockchain is the only blockchain that matters. My blockchain is the only blockchain that's a real blockchain, and not a money grab. These kinds of things. So, and wow, if you want to really talk about cults that spring up quick and then fade away, are your meme coins, right? So, like Greg said in his defining of what a cult is, I think cult and community are kind of almost gray areas there. So there's somewhere in between where they overlap. So that's my official answer, is the emperor of the din social.
Well, yeah, and communities feel organic, right? Like the nature of community is it doesn't have a central party line. I think.
Well, crypto was supposed to do away with third parties and do away with centralization, right? Well, that was the idea behind it. Oh, Zach's got a second question. Oh, wow, Zach, you're like really going for it now.
What did I tell you about taking up everybody's time?
What if
I'm just trying to be like my Caesar?
Oh, there you go. All right, so here we go. What if I told you those who join in cultist behavior most likely fall as a 6 type in the Enneagram, striving for a sense of belonging with security? By the way, this is a personality scoring type.
Fixation.
There you go. I don't like cults, says Zach. But with that, please present your thoughts on how acknowledging the Enneagram's subtypes as a generalization in the world of blockchain and what it may mean on a healthy structure of human behavior. Well, let's talk about gullibility. And because we're going to talk about blockchain, I'm not going to go into the realm of religious cults, but maybe there's something has to do with the scammers as predators to trying to join their cult to scam you out of your money, and they're going to prey upon, wow, am I going to say this? I guess without sleep, I'm the weak-minded. How's that? and the gullible, those that are a little bit more innocent in the space or new to the space, they're going to take advantage of them and those people. And those, wow, I'm really stereotyping those people in quotation marks, probably fall into a 6 type personality trait, and are more quickly to lose their crypto to a scammer, or to a cult. And there are those who are diehards that will stick with it till the end. And even after the cult leader has left the building, they're still sticking with the cult, but not realizing it was a rug pull. And so now you could mirror that description I just gave to a religious cult, Jim Jones, some others. So I don't know. There you go. Scammers, possibly. So let's move on to Zach. Zach, answer your own question, please.
I yield my time to Andrew.
Nice. All right.
We'll
great.
be here all day.
We will. Okay. We really will.
So I think it's an interesting frame to place over the whole question of blockchain communities and how they behave. It's a useful frame. Just to draw an equivalence, right? Like you could also pull the Jungian personality types out and overlay them and get some interesting information about the personalities of people that strive to belong to cults, right? There's going to be some of that in everybody, and they don't even have to be unsophisticated people is the thing. Like some of the people that join these things are very sophisticated, highly capable individuals who put their skills to use for the cult, right? It's the masses of them that we like to critique, but it's the core operation of the group that I find myself most interested in when I think about cults. Like why perpetuate this, and how are you doing it? That's the sort of information I think is really most fascinating here. But as far as applying all the Enneagram subtypes, I don't know them through and through. So I don't want to comment too much on anything like that because I haven't read it all the way through yet. Mm-hmm. But I do think it's a useful frame, and I do think Type 6 sounds very, very, very much like the rank and file of any given cult.
Oh, good. All right, Andrew. This is your neck of the woods. Let's hear your answer, and you got Zach's time to add to it.
Okay, well, it just depends on the fixation of action. So an 8 fix will be more interested in control and limiting people's options, while 1 fix, like Bitcoin Cash, ABC, or Node, will be trying to implement their interpretation of reform over previously dysregulated code, right? So, and then that's if people are even interested in that. Some people are just trying to make money and with meme coins and stuff like that. So they're enthusiast 7s. They're in it for a minute, and then the engineers who are trying to build projects long term and for 20 years or more down the road, they're trying to build up some money. So they're 5s. So it really all just depends. It just depends on the context of your interaction with the
suppose your motivation
technology.
shift though, like from moment to moment. Suppose you're a person who's motivated by a different thing on a different day. I feel like we're all kind of like that.
Well, I mean, we have elements of each fix in us, right? But we only concentrate on 3 specifically at a time, and we lean into other ones.
Okay, so
we have a baseline.
Yeah, 3 that each person will gravitate towards.
Yeah. So like my mom, she's a 368, but she leans into 7 and 4. So that 7A4, and that's
so
basically you got George Bush, and then the other one is like Willy Wonka.
So here's my question for you then: which number could somebody also include in their set that would negate the cult behavior?
Ooh.
I mean, Say the question one more time.
A 4.
So like if you're a 7, but what else?
Yeah.
What else is in your subset makes you not susceptible to colts by immune response, basically?
Well, that's a good question. I had to think about
Zach
that.
says a 4.
1 through 4.
1 through
Okay.
4. Oh, okay.
How so?
One,
Because they're more-
one and 4 fix combined. They have this tendency to say, well, "I will not do this particular thing." So
They're very for
Okay.
themselves. They're more
Gotcha.
fixed on
authenticity, originality.
Yeah, they're
point.
more fixed on trying to do things more on their own.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That totally
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right,
Mhm.
Lisa. What's your thoughts on this
And-
question?
Oh, what were you going to say, Zach?
What are your thoughts? Oh,
Oh.
Zach, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought Zach.
I'll say one more thing, and real quick. A 3 would be effectively the leader of your so-called cult. That many 6s in a unhealthy fix would drive towards. So like Donald Trump is a 3, and you have a ton of obsessive compulsive people that are most likely 6s that fall into the trap of his populist rhetoric and go a little extreme with the MAGA ideas. Just using that as an
become
example.
too literalist of an interpretation. To too literally
Yes.
interpret Donald Trump is to misunderstand Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
All
right, Lisa.
So this is the first I've ever heard of this Enneagram thing. So I just looked up one of the many pages about it. And the 6 that I put in the private chat, the link that I'm looking at, but it says the loyalist, the committed, security-oriented type, engaging, responsible, anxious, and suspicious. And my understanding was you're asking like what's the healthy structure part of that. Being suspicious is healthy because you're asking questions. I think being engaging, and it straight out says responsible. Also being committed, to me, that's a healthy behavior. But that's just my opinion. Like I said,
Technically, civilization's kind of a cult.
So I don't think it's a negative thing to want community or to depend on one another. I think that is a healthy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
All right, Satoshi Sean.
This question's once again very big. If you look at crypto and the evolution of it, we turn certain things into a cult, like we've already kind of established. And meme coins you mentioned, I think they just leaned into it. It's not even like a joke. They become Pepe's literally a Jesus figure or a Buddha figure. I want to say it turned into a meme, but it was a meme to start with, so that doesn't even make sense.
Well, icons are memes, right?
The stuff we're talking about, just like that South Park episode where they made fun of Inception. You know what I mean? It's like this is within a this is within a that. But when it comes to this, it and you kind of touched on, everyone kind of touched on it, on different aspects of it. Everything is a cult. It's not really weak-minded people. If you're a good cult leader or cult manufacturer, and Greg touched on what William brought up, you tailor the cult to your audience. If you want weak-minded people, it's just easier to get, or easier to create, or those are more mass. But you can have more niche cults.
Yeah.
You just tailor it to the certain group you want to go after. I mean, look at what happened to universities across the world. And that's a much smaller group than, say, the high schools or, the lower education system. But you just tailor the cult to whatever, those people are. Look at Bitcoin. The maximalists are a super tiny group of people, even in the space. You look at religions, and they have cults within the religion. I mean, look at Christianity alone. There's,
That's true.
so many different sects of it where I didn't even. My mother was a theologian, and I went to a Church of Christ, and like I thought it was weird, but my wife was like, they don't sing. You can't, there's no, you can't like clap or you have to be quiet. I'm like, really? That's weird. It's like, yeah, they don't believe in singing. They don't believe in just so many little weird things that were within a religion that are kind of cult like. So once again, like I said, it's really, really big question that covers so much.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next question. Look at that. Look at that.
I got something to add on that. That's kind of weird that a church of Christ, I guess denominational, it's kind of weird that they don't think that singing is good, because I grew up in the Catholic Church, and everything has become a song. Like the Psalms, are a song. So it's kind of interesting.
I think it's like from the devil or something, and then but they don't believe it. They don't believe in the Holy Spirit. They believe it's just like a translator. So it's weird. I didn't know it, but it's it was odd.
I've attended a Church of Christ, and on a couple of times with a friend way back when, and everything was sung a cappella. There was no instruments, so there were hymnals, and there were hymns that were sung, but it was, and like you said, it was very, very reverent, very, I don't know. That once you went into the church, it was a sacred place, and it was, there were no joking. Everything was extremely serious. And there was, I think there was only an opening hymn and a closing hymn that was sung, and everything else was very, how can I'm at a loss of words, but yeah, it's interesting. So here we go. We have, it looks like these people look like they're reaching for the Bitcoin within a cult. I don't know what that image is, but question: what would be the ultimate sin in a blockchain cult? I think we start with Sean at the bottom, and while we do this, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so what is the ultimate sin? All right, Sean, let's start with you.
In a blockchain cult, I would say being able to just roll it back.
Roll it back. Ooh, that's a good one. The ultimate sin, roll it back. So now you have the ETH versus ETC debate. That's a good one. Lisa, what is the ultimate sin of a blockchain or a blockchain cult?
I don't know if it would be like selling your bag, or apparently the one that I had a death threat for was being in a DAO. So
that's weird.
Maybe it's that one.
That is.
I don't know.
Giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Well,
okay, Andrew. Ultimate sin.
Sean already took a good answer. So get everybody on the same page and send all the assets to a burn address.
Good one. And we had the dog at the end go to add an exclamation point to your ultimate sin. Greg, what's the ultimate sin of a blockchain
posting
cult?
FUD on crypto Twitter?
Posting FUD. Oh, that's the ultimate sin. Oh, yeah,
you're publicly disavowing your cult.
Oh my goodness. I guess it's like denying a deity, right?
Yeah, bring up a legitimate question in a community. There's like, hey man, watch the FUD, man. Shut up with that FUD, man. Like,
it's like what gets you booted out.
Wait a minute, that's a real question.
A real question. Nah, we know your type. Zach, ultimate sin in a blockchain cult.
Being a central banker.
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, Charlie Lee kind of did that during 2017. He sold all his Litecoin.
Yeah,
to a degree.
Yeah.
Or did he? Or did he just move it into a
public
trust?
facing?
He might have just moved it into a trust.
I'm thinking he moved it into a trust too, which would be smart.
Or did he swap it for another coin with somebody else and then buy it back?
Maybe. You never know.
You could have sent it to a mixing service.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
We can call that a crypto trust.
Right. Now with MWeb, no one will ever know.
Right.
I was going to say the ultimate sin is having a blockchain that someone writes a book about called hijacking your name, insert name here of your crypto.
Bitcoin Jesus.
Yeah. I think
that's way worse than just a Twitter post.
Yeah, that's the ultimate fun, right? Writing a best-selling book about it, about the hijacking of your blockchain. Or maybe the ultimate sin is allowing the CIA having input to the core. If someone infiltrates the core, programmers. There's a lot of, I think,
or claiming that you're Satoshi Nakamoto, maybe.
Oh, that's a good one, Craig Wright.
That is a good
brings
one.
up like the sacrilegious thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
I still think Joe is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Uh-oh. That's why he's not here right now.
I used to. That used to be in the back of my mind, like, hey, man, why do you like to stay in the shadows so much, man? Yeah. Also, Ultimate Sin, very underrated album of Ozzy Osbourne's, I think.
Oh, very underrated.
Yeah.
There you go. Wow. Can there be more than one ultimate sin?
No, by definition.
No, I guess not. There's only one, right?
Yeah, it's the ultimate.
Hence
That's why they have the penultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Denying your blockchain. Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's probably so that would be selling.
Well, that brings us back to the whole cult mentality. If there's an ultimate sin, then it literally lends to being a cult or religion because it's a.
Well, but there's also like an ultimate sin in Christianity. Like if you disavow the Holy Spirit, then there's no recovery from that. Like it's literally the one thing you can do that you can't be forgiven for.
Wow. So
that's why the Roman Catholic Church is the real church.
Well, let's not go there. Let me ask this. Let me ask this question.
Joe said J.P. Lee is Satoshi.
They do get the big C.
Hold on here. Now I'm thinking about this whole hodl thing is, you're hodling your Bitcoins or you're hodling your Ethereum, whatever you're whatever cult you're in. So that means selling it. Isn't that kind of denying your deity of your commitment, your blockchain?
Well, it depends,
should you not
right?
sell your
if it's
coins?
If it's a strategic sale, for instance, your chain is a utility chain, and using it is what makes it more more prominent, right?
Right.
What if number only go up if you spend?
If I were a monk within a blockchain, then I'd probably give it away for free.
I got an idea. Let's list everything on the exchanges and hope XMR never disappears.
Or how about? Yeah, wow. This is there's a lot of questions when you start thinking in those terms. Like, okay, so selling could be denying your blockchain deity. That sounds like a sin. All right, let's see. Let's go back to what's our next question. From I am the 10 commandments for blockchains. Question: what would be the core commandment of a blockchain religion? Example: thou shalt trust in decentralization. I kind of like this. I think that's probably what I would say. Even though I know blockchain is just a different type of database, essentially, and that it could be centralized. It doesn't have to be decentralized. But a lot of bad things happen when it becomes centralized. So, including hijacking. So, I don't know. I guess I'm the first one to answer this one, right? It starts with me. What would be the core commandment of a blockchain religion? Now, Thou shalt not hodl other tokens.
Thou shalt have no tokens before me.
Yeah. All right.
That's a good one.
Thou shalt not lust after another token. I'm gonna jump onto this meme coin and sell this meme coin.
Lust
All right,
coin.
Zach,
I've never done that before.
Thou shalt always shitpost Gary Gensler.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Hey, didn't he just lose his job? Poor Gary.
Oh, poor Gary.
Poor Gary.
Okay.
Is it Gary or Jerry? I don't care.
Gary, go home.
All right,
I
Greg.
call him
me
Gary
what is a core commandment of a blockchain religion?
Thou shalt not trust me, bro.
I love it. That's a good one. How about you, Andrew?
Thou shalt reinvest in decentralization research.
Oh, good one. Good one. That's a good one. And that forces then you're at a church function for your blockchain, and it's kind of like Sunday school, and the teacher's trying to explain to the students, the new hodlers, what decentralization is. I could see that, Andrew. All right, Lisa.
Into Joey Coin too.
Lisa, what's yours?
I think she wants to be scared.
She's muted. Okay. Satoshi Sean.
In all seriousness, I think the core commandment would be, once again, you can't roll it back. It's thou shalt not mess with the immutability. Joe got a good one. Not your keys, not your coin. Another one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Okay, my dog stopped. Double spend. Thou shalt not double spend.
Oh, good one. Good one. I like it. All right. We have Joe. Let's see here. Hold on here. I'm going to take this out. We got Joe in the chat, and Joe says something about junior bankers are heretics. That's a good one.
Yes.
This table's too heavy for me to flip.
And he also says that Jake E. Lee is Satoshi.
The
suspense continues.
Yeah. Uh-oh. There's no bigger cult than Clemson.
That's true.
Here's a good one. Selling is spreading the word of blockchain, the word of the gospel.
Well, I thought of an example, actually, where you can be within the bounds of the protocol and be selling. That's part of how Reflexor Finance works. So the RAI token, in part, has its counterpoint in the protocol token, and it's the buying and selling of that controls its position, that controls the peg. So you actually do have to sell if you want the protocol to work.
Yes. Well,
guys.
Joe is going to win with the correct answer here. You ready? Not your keys, not your coins. There's a good one. You know what? That's called
Satoshi.
Protecting the flock. That's protecting the flock.
That's called Satoshi Nakamoto.
That's hurting the sheep.
There on the Bible. Do business.
Yep, and your Coinbase password is not your key.
Yeah. That's what I say right there. Giving away a la Roger Ver is spreading the word. Yes.
Thus, Roger Ver is Bitcoin Jesus.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And Andreas Antonopoulos,
I would agree.
He was preaching that a long time ago.
Well, I sure liked his stuff. Boy, I followed him for a while. All right, next question. Are we ready? From Alt Blocks. I like that name, Alt Blocks. If crypto collapsed, how many people do you think would ride the wave to the bottom? Who's the Jim Jones or Charles Manson of crypto? Oh, that's a good one. Who is the Jim Jones or Charles Manson of crypto?
Hex guy, right?
What's that?
That Hex guy, right? Isn't that the
Yeah,
one?
I was thinking. I was thinking Richard Hart. Pretty good example.
All right, Sean, go ahead. You first.
I was thinking Richard Hart. pretty good example of, and also with, circling around cults, everything, like to see the whole story of that from, I used to love Richard Hart.
Me too.
When he was basically, he was like the first anti-Bitcoin. He was just like, hey man, I love Bitcoin. I've been here from the start. I made all my money with Bitcoin, but I can go and 20x my money with these new alternative coins. You can make tons more. My Bitcoin, I'm gonna like double, triple. Yeah, it's cool for these people making 5% or whatever. But look, I can make 30, 40x with this, Litecoin and other weird new coins. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He was out there talking intelligent shit, and then all of a sudden he's got 20 Rolexes spinning behind him, and he's wearing Gucci Speedos and shit on streams. It was odd.
Yeah, he kind of sold out. That guy was one of those people who was corruptible by money.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird. And me and him started talking right at the change, like right when he started doing all the. I mean, it was weird, and then because he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna come on," and then I was like, "Well, hold on, man." And then I was like, well, and then it went crazy, and I was like, that's fine, dude, I'm out. And one of my friends, Keith Waring, great guy, love him, respect him. He's 1,000% in, 1,000% in on it. It is rather cultish.
Yeah, I was just saying him just because it's like a big middle finger to all of, it seems like to me, from what I've seen. And that's from like my crypto education over the years. And one of the things that Reggie told me that really stuck in my mind, he said, when people, if you put ETH or whatever into a coin or project, then what were you getting out of it? What did you see? What benefit, what work were they doing in that project? How did that project improve? Because you put something, that project should have improved in some way. And if all that happened is that Richard Hart or whatever his name was, the Hex guy, got a new Rolex, like that doesn't improve my life any. So why would you, that project or coin, and you could apply that to many projects, but that energy that you put into, and I'm just using those two coins as an example, that energy should have improved that other project or coin. And if it doesn't, that's your proof. That's your proof of work right there. And you've got to start taking personal responsibility, paying attention. And if you're not getting your work back for it, anyway.
Tokenize the Rolex, and then everyone here could have a part of it. You all have a part of my Rolex.
That would be something. That's an idea. Maybe you can throw in that idea. I don't know.
Andrew, who is the Jim Jones or Charles Manson of crypto?
I got a real quick question, a response to Sean and Lisa, real quick, and then I'll give you your answer. So I think Jason from Jason Halls, I think his name was, from Ghost Hunters. He was like all like, I'm just a regular guy, and then the more the show developed, you could start seeing him wear the bling and everything. That's what you guys are talking about with Richard from Hex. Now the Jim Jones character has got to be Do Kwon, because he's obviously interested in the project, and he's trying to salvage it, and they were sending all of their Bitcoin to try to salvage the situation, but it just didn't work out. And there's still people that are like, oh, we're going to stabilize it, bring it back to $1. And yeah, there you go.
That's a good answer.
Greg, what's your answer? Who's it, Jim Jones or Charles Manson of crypto?
I'm actually of the mind that it's
say Vitalik and let us all faint. Say Vitalik, so we're all faint. Joe, whatever he's doing, will fall over if you say that. I guarantee if he's driving, he's dead.
Oh, I got one better. Wait till I hear my answer.
I'm not going to say
Go
Vitalik.
Greg.
Jeez, this is a tough one. I'm going to say, SBF.
Oh, good one. That was a good one. I still think I'm going to win. Go ahead, Zach.
He's the
Charles Manson. I'm gonna say it. Charles Manson is Vitalik.
Oh,
but Jim Jones strikes me as Michael Saylor.
whoa. All right, you guys ready for this? Oh, I'm gonna get hate mail. I'm gonna get death threats. The Jim Jones or Charles Manson of crypto is none other than Donald Trump with the Trump coin. Bam!
Ooh.
Ouch.
I can see that.
I think people will hold on to it till it's dead and gone, because he's got the cult of personality. How's that? But
there are still people holding Luna Classic, though. So there's that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
QN CM Punk's theme.
Now I'm going to answer. I'm going to take a different viewpoint on.
I think this BitConnect's going to turn around, man.
BitConnect.
I know.
Hey, they sent me Bitcoin Cash. I want a Bitcoin. I want a Bitcoin.
I'm
still holding out for Dentacoin.
More days without sleep because I'm just getting mean. No, seriously. Let me push back a little bit on Richard Hart and give you my take, because I was following him when he was talking about, just like you, Sean, like I've mined full blocks of Bitcoin. I've been around since it was like 10 cents, 12 cents, and I wrote it to 30 cents, and when it went back down, and then it went to $1 and down, and I was still sticking. I was still holding coins and still stacking my coins. And then he switched to, the whole idea about Ethereum and building Hex. And if you recall, he started doing this thing where you would buy your Ethereum, and there was a 365-day sacrifice where you would sacrifice your Ethereum for the Hex coin that hadn't been built yet. All right. And at that point, he became the villain to all the Bitcoin maxis because he had flipped. But he gave an astute and strong argument why Bitcoin was not, shall we say, the right coin, in that it only did one thing. You could send it or you could mine it. You could just hold it. That's really all its only utility was. And so he was creating the first CD interest-bearing crypto in the world. And that's exactly what he did. Now, all of those coins, tokens, whatever that were sacrificed, Ethereum, yes, they were spread out to multiple addresses, but two things. One, he didn't dip into those. Those hadn't moved. From the best of my knowledge, to this date, those coins are still in the system. And when Lisa said, did it improve? Well, yes, it did, because during that 365-day build, which was really more like almost 18 months of building Hex to becoming the first CD of crypto, and interest-bearing crypto, with a minimum inflation rate, it was actually very novel and a new idea. But he was lambasted. He was hated by the Bitcoin maxis, and everyone called it a big. And so I think
the thing that killed his project was the merge. that was the thing that killed his project.
Yeah, and so I think not everything that you hear about Richard being this evil dude and just pumping his bags is correct, because he actually also sacrificed Ethereum and used Hex and rode Hex out, so that's where he was getting, and he had Rolexes before he did this.
Okay, well, I'll change mine to Joe Lubin then.
Oh, good one. So anyway, that's I think Richard has gotten a lot of bad press, but Richard is Richard, and he's going to rub everyone the wrong way. So anyway, long story short, but I think, is that our last question? Oh no, we got Darox. That's right, the great Darox. This discussion promises to be interesting. I have no questions, but would like to share my opinion. Interesting things are happening in meme coin communities. Meme coins, because they are very well decentralized, distribution of tokens is better than with typical cryptocurrencies. It's a bit like fans of a music or sports team. Boy, isn't that the truth? Some of them call themselves a cult. Already, there are posts and memes created by the community to promote these coins. Thanks to AI, songs are being created about them. They become the hymnals. A culture is being built. I think that in the future, concerts and other public events will be organized. As the popularity of a meme coin grows, look at Doge. It became a U.S. Department agency. There will be more and more creators who are now early investors and will create material on social media. I think the metaverse will also play a big role, and many of these creators will be active here. It is very fascinating to watch this development. Comment, also by Derox. It is not if, but blockchain is a cult. The rules should be as non-religious as possible. All right, comments, I guess, to Derox. Well done, Derox. I agree.
Yeah,
it's not if it's a blockchain cult. It is a blockchain. There is a cult.
I think that's what meme coins have done, is they've leaned into that aspect of it. Like, yeah, we're a cult. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think, getting back to Richard Hart, he is the meme of crypto. He literally was, I'm all about the tech, man, all about the utility. And then it was like total crypto bro, just like everything is about, the money.
Yeah.
And the flash.
Yep. Oh, I agree with this one. Richard definitely read the Dragon White paper. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Joe says, hodl.
If you hear me.
Yeah. And classic Coca-Cola says classic is the next classic. Another Joe says, strive to be the Charles Manson of crypto. Oh my goodness.
Fuck.
And he also says, Sailor, ha ha ha. And SBF isn't crypto, though.
That is true. He's
true.
not.
That's so true.
That's why
I remember Blockfolio before his business actually went off the ground. That was a good wallet, or a tracker, I should say.
Hoskinson is another one that has kind of got a cult following, doesn't he? And I like the man in his speeches about liberty and individualism, and but he also kind of dances with the devil and cuts deals with governments and who knows. But he broke my heart betraying ETC network. Wow. And what was this? Richard definitely is I read the directory. So there we go. Anyone else have comments about Darox? Anybody?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think that's a really interesting point. Because I've always thought meme coins were a unique thing in their own right. Kind of the fungible version of an NFT. And I think there's probably a lot of power there that's unexpressed, right? The fact that it sits on the other side of what the SEC could bar, right, is in and of itself kind of a superpower. Used the right way, it can move mountains, like we saw with Doge. So I've always, I don't think meme coins should be the only thing out there, but I don't think that they shouldn't exist.
Well, the SEC's okay with meme coins. They let them.
They have to be.
They let them go
because they have no future investment goals. Like there's no reliance on the future work of a management team, and that breaks the SEC's analysis of Howie.
Plus, I think it has to do with the distribution. Majority of them, 100%, are released the very first day. At the time of release, 100% of the supply is released. So
exactly,
that's another part. The distribution is a big function of the Howey test. And by the way, Richard Hart's case was dropped by the SEC. I don't know if you knew that.
I figured. No, I think he was genuinely trying. Honestly, my opinion of Richard is he was genuinely trying to build something.
I think so too.
And that it just didn't work because part of the thing that he designed didn't count on the merge happening.
Yeah, and the hex actually did work, and he wanted to create Pulse because of the Ethereum fees. He was sickening him of the fees on Ethereum, so that was why Pulse came out and Pulse Chain, and then moving Hex over to Pulse Chain, and then the merge. He was hoping that before the merge that they were actually going to do something for the fees on Ethereum, but it became status quo.
Right. Well, the merge was just. I mean, if you want my cold take on that, it's literally was a response to political pressure.
I agree.
This was the ETH community trying to bulletproof themselves against the attack on proof of work vis-a-vis environmentalism.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of political pressure, I remember a long time ago seeing that the NSA apparently was able to track down Satoshi Nakamoto based on the way he typed and stuff like that. And just recently on Bitcoin.com's X account, they were talking about how the government has said that they've met with Satoshi Nakamoto in private. It's almost impossible to do anything anonymous nowadays. But what I was thinking was, if you're going to create a project like people are doing nowadays, and you'd want to do it anonymously, what you should probably do is just as an option, because software developers used to do this back in the 80s and the 90s. So they would meet up at these parties, right? Print off your software code in a book. Go to these different conferences and drop the books off at where the developers are, and just do it randomly all over the place and see who picks it up.
Clever.
Are you saying that Satoshi Nakamoto is actually the CIA?
No, that's
I'm not saying that, but
Meta law.
Not saying that.
Meta law. I talked about this on my show yesterday and showed the video of the government, I think it was the Department of Homeland Security, is doing some kind of speech or presentation or something. And they're talking about how their investigators, they wanted to learn more about Bitcoin. So this lady is talking, and she says that they went to California and met with Satoshi Nakamoto and 3 other people who designed Bitcoin. So Meta Lawman, which is this attorney guy on Twitter, you can go to his handle. He filed for FOIA for he wants all communication and notes and whatever for the meeting, because he's calling bullshit.
So we'll see how full of shit they are. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, in part because Hal Finney's clearly dead, so they couldn't have possibly met with him.
Yeah,
I think he's probably at the top of my list.
I mean, if he wasn't, he still is owed just as much credit as Satoshi, because he was literally the first transaction, and definitely worked on developing it too, helped out, even if he wasn't also just talking to himself, which I suspect he was.
I still think it's Garzik.
Oh, that's a good one. If it matters, I like matter.
Drink up. It does matter.
Just saying, it does matter. I gotta stop repeating what you say.
Matter.
Stop it. All right, now we need to move on to
matter. I'm done.
Things that matter.
I'll take him out later. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. Now, let's. That was all of the questions for today. Again, today was brought to you by World Blockchain Roundtable, the show where we all talk about solutions provided through blockchain. Yeah, what is blockchain? Became a religion or cult. So I'm going to encourage all of our viewers and listeners out there, go out and create a cult, go out and create a religion, and tokenize it. There you go.
I agree.
If you're worried about getting in trouble, just start a wrestling company. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you're worried about getting in trouble, just remember that 503. What is it? Is it a 501 or a 503B?
You're thinking 503Cs, right?
What? Yeah, 503C. So you're tax exempt.
That's right. That's what we probably need to do. But see, the whole tax exemption really, in my opinion, I'm no tax attorney here, but decentralization kind of handles that too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Privatized blockchain kind of handles that too, right? Doesn't it?
To me, it's really easy to have no problems with the IRS thanks to loss harvesting.
Lost harvesting? Define
Loss
lost
harvesting. I'm joking. I don't actually do that. It's technically not
okay.
legal. But some people have taken to taking a paper loss by selling into some token that they know will underperform their current position pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
And then the very next day after the tax calendar turns, buying them back so that they report a huge loss on the last day.
Mm-hmm.
Funny.
Yeah.
This is how loss harvesting works.
No one likes to receive those IRS letters either. And a lot of small businesses and people without a lot of money but have invested in crypto have recently received a lot of those letters lately. In the last couple of weeks, a lot of letters went out. Just saying, be careful out there. The IRS is really stepping up on the blockchain crypto, declaring your crypto out there in the U.S. In the last couple of weeks,
this may only last till the fall, right? Because they're about to downsize the IRS right after tax season. But
yeah, so they blitzed it right in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully. Is what they've done.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Right.
I thought we were
basically exploiting the last of that staff. But
yeah, I thought we were supposed to end the war here on crypto, but I consider the IRS as part of the war.
Well, they need to reformulate the entire policy. It needs to allow interchange between tokens without harvesting a tax gain.
Yeah.
Like every other asset.
All right. Well, let's move on to current events. Is there anything of note that's happening in the world? Because I don't think so. I think everything's pretty much stagnant. No change at all. I mean, trade seems to be going back and forth between countries like it always does. There really are no speeches. There's just, have you noticed like on X and on YouTube, nobody's really talking about any controversy in the news or in politics or in the economy. No. It's like quiet head out. What's that?
No one wants to create cash through controversy.
Yeah.
What I found
so what's happening in the world out there? Fill me in, people. I haven't slept because all I've been watching is commercials because there was no news on TV.
Wow.
Anybody?
Well, apparently, this is what I heard. I haven't looked into it myself. Elon Musk is supposed to be stepping away from Doge. Is that right?
Is it true?
He's not.
He has. He was
always part of the plan.
So the temporary position, because he's not a government, it's a temporary government position. So it can only he can only work there for 130 days. So he'll have to step away or create a new position or whatever. So it's kind of word salad, fear porn, whatever.
Yeah.
He's not stopping.
Well, or the position or the entity won't stop.
Right, exactly. But he's also going to probably still play a role in helping where he needs to. It's just the pattern has been. This is the way Elon Musk ventures work, by the way. Did anybody notice they kept launching rockets over at SpaceX? And Neuralink kept making breakthroughs, and all the other companies kept building, and it all seems to work without his full attention on it. Right. That's the way he builds organizations. The organization will report to him in the 5 minutes he has for it every day, as needed. And he'll give his attention where it's needed, but the guy's not going to stick around at one venture for that long because he's set up the organizational staff that he needs to have to make sure things are getting done without him paying attention really closely. I think that's the rub of it. This is just how his stuff works. It's how he can do 10 things at once.
So when you see
he did that with X.
When you see a Tesla on the street, what are your first thoughts?
Well, is it the trash can one or the cars?
That's the cars or the Cybertruck, either one. If you see one on the street, what's your first thought?
I'm surprised that they're not just they don't have Nazi decals on the side of their car because they can now. Like people just think they got vandalized, so they can just edgelord it.
Oh, good one. Zach, what do you think when you see one on the road?
Trash.
Oh my gosh, Andrew.
The first thing I think when I see a Cybertruck is the fact that they can create their own horn. I wish that would be a feature in a lot more cars.
Nice.
I mean, that is
That's
kind of
awesome.
cool with the Cybertruck, is you can create your own horn.
That's badass.
Get off my lawn!
I would make it and get fuck off. Get the fuck out the way. Get the fuck out the way.
I think driving a Cybertruck is about the closest thing you can do to drive a Texas flag around.
Yep. Lisa, what do you think when you see one on the road? What's your first
like I said, I thought it looked like a trash can, but I never wanted one because I'm a huge car fan. Like, but I love like the louder, the bigger, use more gas, like 10, 12 cylinder. I love it all. But since that pisses off the liberals so bad, now I kind of want one.
They're pretty trashy, but at the same time, that is a good thing.
Yeah, I just want to wrap it in like I love Trump and then drive around my trash can everywhere. You know?
I dropped off my granddaughter at the daycare school, whatever. It's more of a school than a daycare. Anyway, this morning, and there was someone who was climbing in their Tesla and almost climbed out of my car to go over there and shake their hand. Because I was thinking, you know what? All they're getting is probably the finger. They're getting spit on, all this stuff, and they're probably not getting any positive reinforcement or thank yous. And I thought, no, I should do that. And then, of course, he was already backing out before I could jump out and if I walk to his car, he's probably thinking, oh wow, here comes another one.
Here comes another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I try to give Tesla drivers thumbs ups on the road.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times.
It's amazing though. Probably within the last year or so, I've seen more Cybertrucks and just a normal Tesla car more than ever anymore.
Yeah, there's a service center that has a ton of them right near my my place. Like I know as soon as I can hack that pre-order, they'll just roll one of those bad boys over to me.
Yeah. Well, the self-driving is amazing. So.
Oh, it is.
And the numbers.
Before, it's pretty fantastic.
If we had most of the cars on the road were self-driving, the amount of fatalities and accidents would be so low. It's it's the numbers can't lie.
Well, I mean,
there's statistics and there's lies and there's damn lies.
Is all you need to reduce death, right?
Yeah.
It only has to be a little better than everyday people, and then you've got yourself something that should be on all the time if you really want to save lives.
My thought, going back to the Doge thing and Elon, is, and his team of people that are looking at these crazy expenditures, is, wow, are they going to really be able to look at the black budgets and be able to tell us what kind of money and how they're spending their money? I don't think so. I think would be a bigger scandal than the USAID. Or how about the DOD, who hasn't passed any audits in ever, and all of the money they're spending? I
feel like USAID is a bulk of the black budget to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Business in the front, party in the back, right?
Yeah.
Basically, CIA all over that.
Right.
That was literally created as an alternative. Like a back room for CIA dirty dealing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have been, I guess I'm happy that they're uncovering all of this waste and fraud and corruption, and putting a stop to it. If nothing else, the stop happens next fiscal year, I hope.
I think the biggest thing they did was actually force them to put entries in the explanation field, in the spending machine. Like the spending machine now has a populated spending section or justification section.
I remember he found, what was it, 12 magic money printing machines in different departments. 14. I bet there's several. 14? I bet there's several more, twice as many in the CIA, and twice as many in the NSA, and twice or 3 or 4 times more in the DOD.
Right. All the defense. The defense probably has one in every office. Anybody who's ever issued a payment to a contractor, which is basically every single DoD department.
Well, in a hearing, I think it was yesterday, one of the witnesses were confirming that the spouses of Congress own real estate property, and then they lease that to the federal government. Tim Burchett was like interviewing somebody, and so one of the witnesses confirmed that. So like we're seeing all the corrupt nepotism there, and at some point, like people are going to say enough.
Yeah,
I don't know at what point that is, but
I still feel like there needs to be like another part of this whole thing that that involves more Twitter files like releases, because to a certain degree you can catch the waste without disclosing the ugly in a lot of ways.
Right. When they show what the children that are involved and when that comes out, which Pam Bondi was talking about that. She said, they found children or in card boxes in the hallway, blah, 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 all this. They just arrested, there was an Interpol arrest of over 2 million people recently. And then Pam Bondi did several this last week briefings, but like no one's talking about it, and it's all about little people being trafficked and all this. And
that's terrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about it because why? Well, the Intel superstate controls the airways.
Yeah.
This is like what Putin, I'm not saying Putin is a good person or anything, but even Putin says, I'm not going to go up against the US media machine and try to plead my case to the world because they own it. Yeah. They control it. Yep. And it's pointless to try to fight their propaganda machine. It's ridiculous.
Right, they won't even publish anything the guy says in full.
Right. So I think about that a lot of times when I'm trying to have a conversation with family members that all they do is watch NPR all day or listen to NPR.
What I really want to see is the Gensler SEC files is what I want to see.
That's what I want to see too.
I really want to know exactly how they were working with the rest of the government to combat open source, free, decentralized crypto, because I bet you that was part of the conversations. Like they probably were proactively talking about hindering projects that were actually building as a strategy.
Jason Siebert just posted today that he's a former SEC attorney, but he's actually Reggie Middleton's attorney now. And they are filing for a motion to vacate. And it's my understanding it's based on like fraud on the court.
Those are hard claims to substantiate. I wish them luck, but
yeah,
odds are not good.
It's pretty strong case. So the consent order for the judgment for fraud on the court in the SEC versus Reggie Middleton case. And they have the calendar dates or whatever on there. I put the link in the private chat if you wanted to share that. But you guys can also go to my Twitter, which is @LisaMightyDavis, and you can see the link there. So
nice.
Mute myself since the dogs are
not so fun fact about any efforts to vacate rulings is they do weigh the value of finality against the relief sought. So they actually value finalness over justice a lot of the time. And this is like a jurisprudence principle that lets the courts off the hook from saying anything super profound. But like if they don't want to make trouble for the appellate court, then they will not vacate. So just for folks watching that are curious about that, because it's a hard standard to beat. But I'm not saying that this case won't beat it, just saying that it's a challenging standard.
I want to give a shout out to Aaron Day. He is on a political fast, and he's shooting for 40 days. The longest fast he's ever done is a 38-day fast. He's shooting for 40 days. To put it in perspective, Gandhi did, I think, only 21 days. But he is fasting for Roger Ver. and to have Roger Ver pardoned, released, and the charges from the IRS dropped. And so I just want to send some energy and positive thoughts towards him in his political stance here. It's very commendable and honorable thing to do. So shout out to you, Aaron. Keep up the good fight.
That's very special, man. I couldn't do it.
Amen, brother.
And he's often on this on our show here, providing blockchain solutions to real world problems. I mean, he's a man that lives it. He lives off a blockchain. He is truly a hero in the space, and Roger needs our support as well. So if anyone that's out there, go to freerogernow.com and sign the petition. And then the next thing I'd like to make a mention is Dragon Chain's case. Dragon Chain is another victim of lawfare, just like Roger was almost his entire adult life. And Dragon Chain, is it wrote and created din.social to show how Dragon Chain could scale. And Dragon Chain built din.social as a social media app to show just that. And so I'm encouraging everyone out there, if you're on X, go out there and make a post about, there's Doge_SEC and then the SEC itself and they're elsewhere to, let the world know how Dragon Chain has been wronged. And if you're unsure, you can certainly find a lot of information about it. Their letter that they wrote to the SEC is public, explaining their case. And I encourage everyone who is watching and supporting this show, please, like and subscribe and give us a thumbs up, as well as, show your love towards Dragon Chain. So there was
there's even a chat bot you can have write your letter, and it's like trained literally on everything Dragon Chain. So you can actually go and check it out.
Yes.
And ask it anything you want, even hypotheticals about what kind of projects you might build. So
absolutely neat. Very good. And if you are looking for that posting or the link, we'll try to share it in a comment here. But you can also find on din.social in the Dragon Chain layer. And but with that, what else is happening in the world? Are we going to war with Iran?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We got a yes, and we got an I don't know. We got an I don't know. Lisa, what's your vote?
I don't think so. I think we're more at risk with China, to be honest. I think China's going to go after Taiwan. I think that's more the risk.
I think Trump's fixed that with I think we're going to be a war on two fronts, which I didn't think we were going to do, because we really can't do a big, massive war on two fronts. But a trade war on one front and a hot war on another is an option. And that's what I think he's doing. The whole trade thing was amazing. He set the trap for China. They walked into it. Now they're standing alone. And literally we got 75 countries that came to the table. And it's like, yeah, we'll do what you want. And China stood up. It's literally like everybody took a step backwards when they asked for a volunteer. And China just stood there and everyone took a step backwards. Yeah. So
I want to remind everybody, though, China still is our number one supplier of all of our medications. And we have not solved that problem, which we knew and learned about it. No, look, Lisa, we're not manufacturing the products here in this country.
Puerto Rico. So during the Great Infection, Trump met with India. India, actually, all the source of the medications actually come from India, not from China. Yes, they're manufactured in China, but they were part of rebuilding Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is going to be the manufacturing for our medication, and that's already been all worked out, planned, figured out, whatever. That's all part of
China's more of a medical equipment center.
Yes.
But I don't think Puerto Rico's online yet.
Even a lot of parts like, I mean, we got Hill ROM here, or I don't even know what it's called now, but even a lot of parts from like companies from like Hill ROM get most of their parts for their equipment from China. But as far as medication, it all comes from India, and
wonder why
India's the center
vice
of it,
president is who it is and who he's married to, and all the relationships. Anyway,
you gotta be careful with quality control from China, because I mean they got coins that explode just because they're not stable. So
yep. Yeah,
that's the charitable interpretation.
There's already it's and I've said this for a long time. I said if we ever actually went to war with China, they would be crushed within 30 days to 90 days. Their economy can't do it. It's a paper tiger, and it's already happened. I mean, I don't know if just from this little like glimpse, it's not even a trade war, it's just a glimpse at one. They have massive closures, massive layoffs. And that's like we have that here. But they haven't had that for a decade or so. It's been nothing but crazy growth. So it's throwing a huge monkey wrench in things. But people they're just freaked out. So they're
hence the reason.
Construction has stopped. But also there's a problem with there's more doubt in the government than there ever has been. So this is like a perfect time for all this to happen. But as far as Iran goes, Israel's the first one at the table. Israel's been nothing but cordial and friendly. We've built up more troops than we've had since Desert Storm. So everything points to absolutely, or we're just wasting tons of money at moving people in there, which at a time when everything's being cut and we're worried about money, we wouldn't be doing that if we're not going to use it. So I think we're going to war with Iran. I think we've hurt China to where they're not going to extend and try and start anything with Taiwan. Also, you've got Japan, massive cultural shift from being pacifist to a military, military.
They've been doing that in the school since like 2012.
They've been building their military since the treaty expired, and actually, I think it was around 2012.
With literally one goal, it's just China, just to fight China. So I think that area is, and then I think Trump made a mistake with Vietnam. I understand why he did what he did, but Vietnam was literally the third country to come to the table, or fourth, I guess. No, it was not. It was. They came like before Canada, and that could have been like the death blow to China. But they didn't trust Vietnam. They're like, oh, China's just going to use Vietnam to funnel everything through. But I think Vietnam's like the Texas and Florida of the communist Asian community. I think that would have been a huge. They would have been like massive economic powerhouse, and that would have hurt China massively if they would have, trusted them more. But they didn't. I mean, they're still at the table, but they should have been more accommodating to them, I think.
I happened to ask Grok about China versus Puerto Rico as far as pharmaceutical imports by volume. It says that in pounds, China accounts for about 217 million kilograms or 477.8 million pounds of pharmaceutical imports into the U.S. in 2023, representing about 25 to 30% of the total U.S. Puerto Rico's increase is up by 485% because we're trying to grow that build within Puerto Rico. However, ibuprofen, for example, 70%. Other painkillers, 95%, and a significant portion of antibiotics and others are 80% come from China. Furthermore, otherwise, we still
scare the hell out of
drugs are created. The fine ingredients come from India, like you said. but we are trying to grow our Puerto Rico contribution.
Yeah, 5 years
wise,
5 years ago, the antibiotics was 96% China.
Yeah,
so you said
it's come down
85?
to 80% now.
80. That's huge.
It's still huge. So, but in dollars,
to a certain extent,
measure by dollars because China is now getting all of the generics.
Oh,
and
Greg's back.
the new stuff through Puerto Rico. So the dollar, you can't measure it by dollars. You have to measure it by pounds.
That's a good way to look at it.
British money.
Yeah.
That's right.
Greg's in the lobby waiting to come back in.
Oh, I didn't know he left. Greg. Greg, I was busy on Grok. I'm not paying attention to the screen. I'm just listening. I didn't see that you had slipped out.
Nope.
Listen,
hopefully there's
I'll
things with Wi-Fi hotspots.
We're talking about not measuring in dollars, measuring in English money.
One good thing that
China
we
problem. I'll buy the Senkaku Islands with all my Dentacoin. That'll solve everything.
You do that. Yeah, solve it. No, I think one. If we can think of one good thing that came out of the scamdemic 5 years ago now, or actually a little less because it kind of ended 3 years ago, is the antibiotic issue with China's manufacturing hub. I mean, we kind of decentralized a little bit and got away from the China scare.
True.
Plot twist. That's where the coup came from.
But the danger, though, is the fact that we still get a lot of our narcotic supply from China. And I mean, that's the terrifying aspect is the fentanyl that hospitals use for cancer patients, extreme pain, and then the epidemic on the streets. That all comes from China. Chinese scientists have developed that. And I do think there is a war. That is one way of China going to war with us.
It says that Puerto Rico is now at $20 billion in pharmaceutical production, where China's only $7.84 billion in 2024. However, it's the difference is generics versus non-generics. And so again, why you really have to measure it by per kilo or pounds or however you want to do it, and not plug it in by dollars. But we are growing, Lisa, you're right. We are growing to move that towards Puerto Rico. But if that were to get cut off right now, we'd be in a world of hurt because it says also a lot of your, medications like, statins. We know about statins now as a concern.
A lot of things that are terrible for us.
Yeah.
If
it got cut off, you mean like ships couldn't get through the Panama Canal to Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I have a question for you. If Vietnam is like the Texas or the Florida of Asia, where's
don't
the
make
Alaska?
a red heifer joke, dude. I'm just saying, don't.
No, I'm asking which one's the Alaska?
Not here.
Come on,
I need a break.
Which one's Alaska?
Which one is Alaska?
The quiet one that no one ever thinks about.
Russia.
No, in Asia, I would say Tibet. Tibet, Alaska. Yeah.
But theoretically, that's China because they occupy it.
I was
theoretically, yes.
Yeah, but like they don't care. You know what I mean?
They don't care. It's true. They don't care.
They're okay.
They cultivate a belief of not caring.
Yep.
Well, what else is happening? There was something else I wanted to mention as far as in the world of conversation. Oh, Bagram Air Force Base. So we're back, huh? We cut a deal with the Taliban.
They say we didn't.
Jesus.
They say absolutely we didn't. No way, Jose. But I think it goes back to Iran. Is that we need
their poppy.
That's
a different story. That's a different conversation. But we need, for logistics, we need to have that area. And if we literally do work with the Taliban, then
it's for the poppy.
We're going hardcore.
Oh, we already kind of did.
Yeah.
Does Trump get Russia to negotiate on our behalf with Iran because they have a deal behind the scenes?
No, because we're doing the bidding of Israel. We don't want to negotiate. literally.
Yep.
Like we're like, oh, because they're not doing anything. They're doing, America, Russia, all the proxy shit.
Well, and the purported connections to Iran
we're
are
now
shaky.
saying, hey, we're not going to stand for proxy stuff, which is,
Well, yeah, but that's not really the stupid thing is that's not really what is happening. Like the Houthis are not under Iranian control. That's a phantom. It's like sort of like blaming Iraq for 9/11.
I mean, Iran is sort of funding them, but that goes more towards their rival.
Maybe fund them at one point when they started.
At one point, they're in the war with the Saudis.
Yeah, but also most of the weaponry that they have is from U.S. Supplies that we left in their country for the leader they deposed. Because the Houthis deposed somebody who we supported, and they got all of that military equipment, similar to the way that the Taliban got all that military equipment when it was still parked there when somebody else took over. And that's how most of the attacks are being done. Like that was mostly us doing it to ourselves.
That's the usual way things go, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of military equipment, the Trump assassin guy tried to buy a rocket launcher from or Stinger from Ukraine.
He was so messed up. Yeah. He should have been able to speak. He should have learned Spanish and gone to Mexico. He could have bought it in Mexico. Damn it!
They probably have those for
the
price of a used BMW in Tijuana.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the cartel.
That's all that matters.
They have that. But I think about that when I fly into Mexico City. It's crazy.
It's always a good way to pick up some Crossfire Hurricane armaments.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
What's speaking of Mexico?
Yeah.
I mean, in the cartel situation, where is that heading right now? I haven't really heard or read anything in a while about it, but where's that heading towards?
The cartels are mostly local government. Yeah. And so they've wilded. Apparently,
they know what's like. They've pushed things to the line, and like I think we kind of want to go to war with them, but so I think everybody knows,
stuff like starting to protect tourism in border crossing areas, for example.
Yeah, elements in their own government are starting to kind of say, "Hey, man, it's been fun. Thanks for the money, but the U.S. is about to start bombing our fucking country." So so they're just pull back. And we have we have
just for 4 years.
You
come back after a vacation.
Yeah, it's time to take your Joe Pesci's out in a field and execute them.
I've said this over and over on this podcast, but the Mexican government and the cartel are the same. It's very blurred. It's very and places like say Cancun, or like in the Rio Grande Valley, Progreso, where a lot of your winter Texans, even from Canada, go into Mexico to buy cheap meds or dental work or whatever. That there's a strip in Progreso where all the tourists go, and that is like no man's land. Nobody touches that because all of the businesses pay their extortion money, and it's like we don't mess that cash cow up. We don't mess with Cancun. Outside of Cancun is another thing, but inside Cancun, you don't mess with that because that's a cash cow for tourism. And when
that's sort of like how Tijuana's set up too, in the tourist area.
Exactly. And so and from
if you're a gringo, you never want to leave the tourist area.
True.
You gotta keep it
can be fun to go there.
Make your payments and they won't touch you.
Yeah, I got a story about the Tijuana. I had a buddy actually lived in Tijuana for a little bit. He dated a girl that worked at one of the brothels down there, and he
allegedly,
one of the stories allegedly. No, there wasn't allegedly about it. He showed me pictures. But
Andrew, stop sharing your pictures with Zach.
Yeah, stop showing. It wasn't Andrew, but he told me. He wasn't. He told me actually, like, if you go down there, you never have money on you, but you keep it in your sock or somewhere for like the police or the federales to have easy access to it. because it's like a bribe without a bribe. You'll get arrested for bribing them, but if they search you, then they'll find that money and they'll take it and then they'll let you go. Like, get out of here, gringo.
We would just bribe them. And Matamoros,
that's where my paper wallet went.
Yeah, that's where my paper wallet went too.
Well, if you're local, they just quote a price, right? They don't,
I would assume. He never told me about that, but he could only give me the perspective of being an outsider. But I would assume, local would be able to, like, well,
hey,
what do you want me to pay?
Hand it over. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so many stories about Mexico. Yeah, it's sad because I think that the war on drugs has increased the size of the cartels, and when border crossings slow, then they start inflicting pain on internally within their country, and because they're trying to make up revenue in different ways, like more kidnappings and this kind of thing internally, and it's just sad. It's scary, and usually someone who's running for an office like a governor or president, Mexico, this kind of thing, they'll cut a deal with one particular group of different cartels, and they'll campaign. I'm going to go after the cartels. Well, what they've done is they just isolated what cartel they're going to go after, because that cartel didn't pay as much to get that person elected or have that much control. And they'll look what I'm doing, and we cut down the Sinaloa cartel in half, and this kind of thing. And then the next president comes in and they go after the Zetas or something like that, instead of the Sinaloa. And it just goes on and on and on. And so it's horrible. And I also believe it's because they don't have a Second Amendment, and so it was allowed to grow out of control. Now, something has to be said by the stiff arm of government, which I'm anti-government, but look what El Salvador has done by their mass arrests of their gang members. And
it's safer there than it is in Chicago now.
It just got a new safety rating for the tourism or whatever, as like one of the safest places for tourism. Yeah,
that's the thing. They've got to make it to where the government makes money from going after the cartels.
Yes,
more money than they get from dealing with the
participating with.
That's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key. And if our CIA is making money off of drugs, if that is really the case, then
allegedly,
then the Mexican government, once that income increases in other income from other revenue sources rather than drug payoffs and cartel payoffs back to the politicians and the judges, well, then there you go.
So I think there's two different ones: there's the carrot or the stick, and we've been waiting for the carrot to work. And for, like we said, the government start going after these rich cartels and taking the assets. They haven't done that. So now we're moving the military. It's going to be the stick. We're literally going to fight Mexico again. It's not like it's the first time we went to war with Mexico.
Yeah.
So
the last time we invaded Mexico was when the 7th Cavalry was used as a border patrol in the 1910s, before they got shipped off to Europe. And they actually did invade.
Yeah.
Twice.
I'll tell you
chasing Pancho Villa.
I think this is public now, but years and years ago, from the White Sands missile range, a missile went off and it didn't self-destruct, and it crashed into Mexico. And we actually invaded Mexico to go get this top secret missile before everyone else did, because it had secrets. And so we just blew past the checkpoints in Mexico and the border to go retrieve this missile that went wayward and didn't explode upon impact in Mexico, and we had to bring it back. So there's kind of a hidden story. We didn't ask for permission. We just sent the Marines in there to go get our missile.
Well,
White
that's not
Sands,
a, that's
Mexico, by the
also
way, it's just north of El Paso. For anyone's wondering to know where that is.
and then that's
Don't we
also
have the
not
stick with the Philippines? I mean, they're encouraging people to go hunt drug dealers. That was the story a while ago.
Wow.
I heard anything else about that.
That letter of mark thing that Lee put out was insane.
That was insane.
That was insane. To go, America, just regular citizens go kill Mexicans as long as they're a cartel and take whatever you want, bring it back to the U.S. and we'll pay you for it. You know, we'll take the drugs and we'll destroy them, but you can take their drugs.
Sounds like the key to some Cobra effects there. I bet you those drugs don't get destroyed.
Yeah.
Nope. Agorism,
well, folks,
baby.
We are you're encroaching in my nap time. The Emperor needs a nap. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We're almost getting close,
especially for tonight.
And what's that?
I said especially for tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to be on. We'll get to that. Let's go to everybody and find out what they're doing and what's new in their world and what blockchain solutions they have and all that good stuff. Greg, we're going to start with you, then go to Sean, Lisa, and wind it around back to me. What's new in your world, Greg?
Very much looking forward to being able to talk about this particular news, but as I can't, I'm going to take this moment to redirect attention to the case of Roman Storm, which is still before the stupid fucking court, even though the basis for it has basically been mined out from underneath it due to other official actions. So now Roman Storm is being prosecuted for a thing that is no longer listed and was never legally listed to begin with. On OFAC's list, and they're still going after him for no apparent reason. So people should go to wewantjustice.org and donate to his legal defense.
Good. Satoshi Sean, everybody's friend. What's new in your world? Where can we follow you?
Check out me and Lisa on Tuesdays for Truth Tuesday. That's pretty much it. I mean, the usual stuff. Check my channel and, all that out. Just kind of not a ton going on. I'm about to start a trading group and a trading class for free because, the stuff that's out there is insane. The watch, pay for my course for this secret thing, which is not secret. Once again, preying on, people like we're talking about the cults. That's about it. And free Roger, check that out.
Good. Lisa, what's new in your world? Where can we follow you?
Sean and I had a great show yesterday. So check that out on both of our channels. We did like half on mine, half on his. So that's kind of fun. And we have a great live chat. So if you're ever able to catch it live, it's 4 p.m. Central. And there's great community there to be able to bounce ideas off of. And then I'm live most weekdays around 4-ish or 5-ish. Started a new show with a guy doing some VSTEG. It's very like conspiracy theory. And we have a lot of fun looking for comms and cues and what's going on kind of stuff. We just did that on Wednesday. So check that out as well.
Cool.
Andrew, tell us what's going on with you. Can you, before you do that, explain to everybody what that those hieroglyphics are? Kanjis.
That's my name. That's my name in Japanese.
That's your name in Japanese?
Yeah, just first and middle. So
good. Nice, Andrew. All right, what's new in your world, and where can we follow you?
You can find me on X at AICon90. I'm not too terribly active on social media. That's more Zach's thing. We recorded a 2-hour-long episode for tomorrow. Unfortunately, I had a doctor's appointment, so I couldn't do it live tomorrow. But we're covering Enneagram Fix 4, 5, and 6 from this book. It's very informative, just something to entertain. Not everyone reads too much into it. So just give it a shot and see if you think it's interesting. It's really up to you.
Nice. Cool. Zach, I guess we could skip you because Andrew already mentioned you. No,
basically.
No, go ahead, Zach. What's new in your world? Where can we find
all you? All I can say is I hope that your testicles are perfect there, Andrew. I hope that you don't have cancer.
Oh, ouch.
That's the doctor's appointment, everybody. Just kidding. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, just check out the Legacy Right. We are live, weekly Legacy, tomorrow at 11 a.m. We are not live. We recorded on Monday morning, so we'll actually give you a glimpse on that. We went 2 hours on 4, 5, and 6, so it'll be interesting. So give that a check out, and well, I'll let the Emperor gloat about tonight. I was going to mention that, but
thank you. Well, first of all, shout out to everybody watching or who's going to watch this. Please give us a like and share. Make sure you post a comment too. It helps the algos wherever you're watching it or listening. And let's see. Well, I am Fram. I'm the Emperor of Din.social, and I'm pleased and honored to have been your host today, while Joe hasn't been here today for World Blockchain Roundtable. By the way, next week's show, shall we look and see what next week's show is? Oh, make sure you vote on themes for May. Post a theme for May. Let's see. Next week's show is going to be how a government can use blockchain to manage tariffs. Interesting. Blockchain to manage tariffs. So what's happening in my world? Well, let's see. 2 o'clock today is, in just a couple of hours, is the Din Down meeting. And I was on Litecoin Lisa's channel this past Monday. Check that out. I offered the idea of taking Doge to the next level at the U.S. government and create the Department of Purge. And so watch that channel to find out what Purge is all about. So, I got to compete with Elon. And tonight I've been invited to be on Not Conscious podcast. And guess what we're going to talk about? IPs, intellectual property.
Nice.
So that's going to be an interesting show. So join us on Not Conscious. And
if you want to bring up the I mean, it's not the link, but if you want to bring up the Rumble link for it, I have it in the comments.
Yeah,
I was going to say, it's called Death by Whiskey Podcast.
That's right, Death by Whiskey.
Yeah, they rebranded.
Death by Whiskey.
Thank you so much, folks, for supporting.
Not Conscious. Same guys.
Same guys. They're good guys, and
they are.
They're in my kind of realm of thinking, agorism and anarchy. Well, anyway, so everyone, thank you very much for watching. Joe, we missed you today, and I certainly missed you. Everyone, get your sleep and rest so you don't get angry and mean like I just did today in a few of my comments. My apologies if I've offended anybody. Not. Anyway, without any further ado, let's let someone tell us about Splinter into 1,000 Pieces.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.